Welcome to the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show. We are at the iHeartRadio studio today, recording live, and we are going to be talking about
live to tape.
Yeah, you had to throw in the technicality there.
I'm just saying,
just
in case anyone wants to tune in live, it's over.
It's like fresh frozen.
It's
exactly like fresh frozen.
Okay, so
where were you going?
Let's just keep going. We're recording live to tape, so you can't call in. And I'm Nick Bilton, one of your hosts, journalist and screenwriter, and all sorts of wasting time on writing words. And you are
Paul Kedrosky. I have no idea what I do.
Come on, give us something.
You know,
people who've listened to the podcast have said that is Paul real or is he an LLM?
Yeah.
And so
I'm an LLM.
Yeah, he's an LLM.
There you go. I'm an LLM. Poorly trained LLM. I like point out here. Highly compromised data.
Dick Costolo, former Twitter CEO and sometimes travel agent.
Oh, really? Is that true?
No.
Oh.
So we had an episode a couple months ago. I've lost count. In the past, we've had an episode on data centers, which people loved, and we wanted to talk today about.
People need to get a hobby.
I take that personally.
I actually loved that episode. I learned so much.
Fair.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about data centers in space. Paul, you want to kick it off?
I
or
would just
Dick,
like
do you
to
want kick it
say,
off?
anytime someone says data centers in space, it should be data centers in space, space.
And it should be narrated by Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
I think that was the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Was it the Muppets?
That's an entire season of the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
Data centers in space.
Data centers in space, and Miss Piggy was on one.
So Star Cloud. Should we talk about Star Cloud?
Yeah,
Is
go
that
for
what
it.
we want to begin with? Or should we? Because I have so many questions about this.
Okay, go.
Well, let's just set this up.
I can spell Star Cloud for you if you would like to start there.
Space.
STAR.
Star Cloud is a company.
So here, let's go start on Earth. I know that's probably a bad idea, but like the thing that's going on that gives rise, see what I did there, to the whole space-based data center thing is that data centers are pigs in the sense that they use like incredible amounts of cooling, energy for cooling, energy for training models, energy for responding to ridiculous requests from Nick Bilton, who's got 20 agentic AIs writing scripts or whatever the hell you do. And because of that, one of the primary ways you figure out where to locate these things is where you're at kind of the nexus of you got connection, like a rapid connection to the internet, you got easy access to power at fairly decent rates, and you have access to water because most of these things are liquid cooled. So you have you're at the intersection of these three things, and so as it turns out, that's a finite number of places, and
one of them is not space.
And spoiler, one of them is not space, but so there's this naive idea that there must be somewhere else where we can do these kinds of things, but it's all being driven by, just take the space stuff out of it for a second, by this fundamental problem that we've really saturated the number of places you can construct data centers and get access to like high-speed connectivity, easy access to power, and lots of water for cooling. And those three things are more scarce than they were, 5 years ago. Hence, like, I don't know if you saw it, but recently there was a story about how I think it has to be the U.S. federal government. So the U.S. federal government's trying to push the idea of relocating data centers to Alaskan Air Force bases because they're not being used as much. We're not launching whatever we launch from there as much. And, Alaska's cold, right? And so this is this naive idea, and this kind of takes into the space stuff, this naive idea that, well, if we need power and it has to be cold and you need connectivity, at least two of those three are kind of space-based stuff, right? I mean, there's power, solar, I've seen the suns, and there's no clouds up there and so on. And then I'm told space is very cold. This must be a good place to locate data centers. So that's where it all started, was this sort of fanciful idea that we're running out of the prime real estate, if you will, for doing this stuff on Earth. And some of the stuff you might want seems to be in space, so 1, 2, 3, go. But it all starts with this idea that we've just like completely saturated the globe with data centers.
But isn't it correct me if I'm wrong, but there are so many problems that come along with this whole space idea, with the fact that, well, first, I mean, there's just lists and lists of them. There's, how do we get it up there? What happens if there's a problem? Isn't it susceptible to terrorist attacks? Who owns it?
That's kind of like New Mexico, though. No, I'm just kidding. It's nothing like New Mexico. All people from New Mexico, I didn't mean that.
And then also there's the latency problem I was reading about. There's so many different things. So why is it that everyone is talking about, well, not everyone, the people in the tech world are talking about this?
Because it's way cool. And they're all space obsessed too, right? I mean.
But is this
Elon with his Mars stuff? This is just like, it's just Robert, what's the old, have spaceship will travel, have data center will travel. It's all this kind of stuff.
Is this all pie in the sky?
More of that stuff.
Like, or is it actually something that
you can totally run a data center in space. It just turns out it's got all kinds of problems, but it'll work. You can do it at really low power because, again, solar power is widely available, having what with you being above the Earth's atmosphere and not having cloud issues, but it's at a really low flux level, meaning that there's not a lot of power per unit area. So you have to have, like, to power, I don't know, like a 10 megawatt data center, which is a really tiny data center. You have to have, like, I don't know, something on the order of about 6 acres of solar panels.
I think it's even more than that. It's something like 16 acres of solar panels.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
Which you have to somehow get up there.
Yeah, so you have to launch them as well. It turns out there aren't solar panels orbiting the Earth that you can just link up with, like in 2001. Those aren't up there. So you actually have to get the panels up there too. So these are the problems, though, right? Like, and again, the space is cold, but it has no bearing because the problem whenever you're trying to dissipate heat inside of a data center is that you need to have some way of carrying the heat away, right? Hence running water over it. It's not enough to just say, hey, cold thing, hot thing, figure it out, right? That's not how thermodynamics works. So you actually have to have something pass over the surface to dispel the heat. And so it could be air. I blow air across it. No air in space. Okay, we're out of luck on that one. I run liquid across it. Oh crap! It's all frozen. I can't do that either. So you can't do the usual ways of cooling stuff. So the fact that you're in space and it's really cold in space turns out to be largely not relevant.
I'm going to say something that is going to get Dick's blood boiling, but
you love
Elon Musk. Yeah. What's that?
You were going to say something nice about thermodynamics?
Newton's second law, my favorite second law.
Right.
Well, but Elon was out talking about how he's going to put these data centers in space. And everyone was like, oh my God, Elon's going to put these data centers in space. And then there was a bunch of people that were like, actually, the technology doesn't exist yet. We're decades away from that. But everyone believed it and they bought it. Does he really think that he's going to do it, or is it just another Elonism and everyone's just buying into it?
Well,
this feels like a Dick question.
It does. Elon is known for predicting things that I think he knows aren't particularly happening anytime soon. Self-driving car will be able to pull out of your garage and drive you directly to work in less than a year.
It can drive you directly into a pole right now. But
that was 13, 14 years ago when that was declared. There will be over 1 million robotaxis on the road by the end of 2025. I think there are 37 in Austin. So we only missed it by, you do the math,
a few thousand cars. Yeah.
So I think it's, he's gotten very far selling the next
thing.
Selling the next thing. I think that'll continue probably for a while. I think he's smart enough to know it's decades away.
It's
or
decades
at least
away.
A decade away.
Well, decades away or never away. Or like never away. I mean, it just breaks a bunch of fundamental problems in thermodynamics. I mean, how do you cool these things? How do I create a meaningfully sized data center using solar panels at a scale that would actually not, blanket the Earth in solar panels? And the idea that, solar panels will improve really fast. Solar panels have been improving quickly for 25 years, and we're only at, 26% efficiency or something like that? And that's great. It works really well at the house, but that doesn't solve the problem of I need to get to much higher levels of efficiency, or I have to find, meteor showers of solar panels traveling to Earth, and I just pick a few up as they pass by, which turns out not to actually
the funny thing about this is, if this is, let's just assume all these problems are someone comes up with a solvable. Yeah. The volume of satellites that are being discussed, being launched by a single company. I think I'm correct in StarCloud saying they wanted to apply for a license to have 88,000 satellites up there. the amount of space debris that already is up there with the what are there now? 30,000, 35,000?
I think it's just under 30.
Yeah, that's total.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about 88,000 from one company, and now we're talking about, China's not like the other countries on Earth aren't applying to have satellites.
Which is part of the weirdness of all of this, though. It's one of the reasons why you apply for a big number is because you know you won't get it because all of these other countries and companies are applying for
who
big.
Who decides? Like, how do you decide? Well, first of all, how many you may.
My Aunt Shirley is remarkably in charge of.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, she's in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and she picks.
She picks.
It's really weird.
Does she have a philosophy of how she does it?
Aunt Shirley, how did you get this amazing house?
What a gig!
I'm in charge of picking who gets.
There's an international agency.
There's an international agency, and
there's always an international agency.
Yeah. Do we know the name of this international agency?
It's like the ISSTA, I think.
Of course, yeah.
Like International Satellites. I don't know, something like that. I used to know the name. Sorry, I don't know.
Telemetry Association.
Yeah,
International.
I used to be huge. Used to be on their mailing list, but I'm not anymore.
but it's there's a certain finite number of satellites that can go up there before
Not
they all
really.
start crashing into each other.
No, you can.
No?
No, that's not. I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is, you end up with all this debris, and then you end up like there's even.
But the debris comes from.
But that's more them colliding. It's not because they've run out of space. It's just because the management problem of
traffic,
and then you start saying, okay, fine. Now think of it in terms of orbital levels. It's not like they're all orbiting at the same level. So you have to. Let's say I want to reduce the amount of latency. So whoever's using my chat version of Starlink to communicate in Tibet wants to have less latency. Well, now I have to operate at a lower orbit. Because if I don't operate at a lower orbit, the latency whenever I enter my how many sheep do I need for whatever that is much longer. But the problem is if a satellite is operating at lower orbit, well, at least two things go wrong. One is you don't get as much solar energy, right? And the second is you actually begin to get some atmospheric resistance. So the life of your satellite is much shorter, and eventually you just is this all right?
Do you wonder how he knows all this?
No, I know. This is all known. These are known things.
Oh,
the
you know
further you are away from the sun, the less solar energy you get, and the further you are. It's like being in the back of church. You're further away from God. There's less chance of being heard.
It's exactly like that.
But just to go back real quick, just to push back a little bit on this space debris thing, there's the Kessler syndrome, right? And the Kessler syndrome is that once you get one little accident, you get lots of them. So all you need, it's not like a plane that's going to crash into a building or into another plane on Earth. You get one satellite that hits another, it could just destroy.
It's a chain reaction of debris.
I saw that in Oppenheimer. Yeah, the same chain reaction.
The same chain reaction, exactly.
Can I just ask a question also? Yeah. How did it get to be called the Kessler syndrome?
Let's ask our LLM. Paul, how did it get to be called?
I don't actually know the answer to that.
I think you have to apply to the ISTA.
The ISSTA, get an orbital
decide.
But I just think that the two things that are kind of come together with the space-based data center stuff is one, techies with their space fantasies. They all have these space fantasies, which kind of blows me away.
Who among us does not have a space fantasy?
I don't. I don't think I do.
It is strange.
Yeah, it's universal.
Well, it's because they all read the sci-fi books, right?
But why does, if you're Jeff Bezos, you don't have to go to space.
It's true.
You're probably not going to, you aren't going to be the first one up there. You already aren't. Who cares?
It's a great question, actually. I've never thought about why.
You make the spaceship Blue Origin, everybody laughs that it's like phallically designed.
That one really
your wife goes
phallic.
up there. Your wife goes up in it first.
Did she go up? Oh, yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I forgot
Did she go? She didn't go before him. No, she went after him. He went first, and then she took her bachelorette party to space.
She took her bachelorette party to space.
And then who was it? One of the people. It was one of the singers.
Gayle King.
No, but there was.
I say it was Gayle King.
who gave this speech? It was one of the singers who went up. I forget exactly who. Katy Perry, and she gave this whole speech about how she was an astronaut now, and the amount of work she put in to be.
I don't know any of this.
You don't know any of this?
I'm so out of pop
Oh my god!
culture.
It really blew up.
Katy Perry went to space.
It went to space for 35 seconds.
See, you
maybe?
read the ISSTA journal
newsletter,
and he reads
the
Us
Daily
magazine.
Mail.
Yeah, the Daily Mail, the latest entertainment news about space-based data centers. I had no idea that was the case.
No, she got a lot of shit for talking about how she was now an astronaut and like she almost gave like a one small step for man kind of speech, and people were like, you went in a little bubble that went up for 2 minutes.
Okay, so back to the question of there are smart people though putting a lot of money into these companies. StarCloud raised seed funding from Benchmark at a $250 million valuation, and then
is that what it was? I didn't see.
Yeah, and then right on the heels of that funding, a firm whose name escapes me, EQT maybe, came in and invested in the same company X weeks later at $1.1 billion. So there are people pouring money into this company
because
they think someone else later on will give them even more. I mean, for me, a lot of this is just pure momentum stuff. Is that it starts off, I can raise money with this story, so I do, and then it turns into there's someone else who will give me more money in a subsequent round, so I'll take that, and away it goes. And then we just hope. But then it goes back to it's the Theranos problem, where you just hope eventually I figure out a way to make all of this stuff work.
I'm going to figure this out later.
I'll figure this out later.
Okay, but you guys are both investors and have invested in lots of companies and made lots of money from those investments. And you read about the companies you invest in. You do research. You do due diligence. You wouldn't invest in these space companies, right? Would you? Or would
it's the same thing as quantum computing, though. It's years and years and years away, but there are X companies that have made investors a bunch of money.
That's all that matters. Is it made people money, and might this make me money? This idea of getting hung up on does it currently work is the error.
Well, this is the fusion problem. This is all of them.
You just can't get stuck there. I'm simply saying this is a particularly extreme example of where it's really implausible that it works at scale. I mean, I can see maybe quantum might, I can see maybe fusion might, and so on. This is really thermodynamically difficult. So, God bless them for trying.
Okay, so but going to fusion for a second, But
in this age of misinformation, I think there are some people that are just saying Newton's second law is bullshit.
That's right. It's fake news. Right.
I'll show you maximum entropy.
That's right. I got that figured out. That's funny. Yeah. The whole thermodynamics thing, it's the man. The man is just trying to foist this on
me. The deep state.
Yeah, the deep state's
I
thermodynamics.
saw it on TikTok.
But actually, you know what? That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Someone's going to say that.
People have been saying for years that this does Maxwell's sorting demon, all this, whatever this stuff. I don't believe any of it.
Okay, going to fusion for a second, right? Doesn't it seem like a more logical situation? Because there's people listening.
You mean as solving the data center problem?
Yes. Okay, you go to Antarctica, whatever it is, the Arctic. You don't have the power. Okay, so then if we solve the fusion problem, we can then go build it with the power, and we have the cold, and so on and so forth. Isn't that a more viable situation for the data center problem?
No,
because
we don't have fusion.
Oh no, I know, but I'm saying like if we're looking X number of years out.
We have solar panels. All I'm saying is it's a stupid, inefficient, and uneconomic way to do it. Doesn't mean it can't work. It can just work at a tiny scale in a way that doesn't help anybody. Fusion just doesn't work at all.
Paul, your lack of imagination about fusion working.
Yeah, I know.
It's really getting in the way of making money.
I know. I get hung up on this stuff. It's really stupid. People remind me all the time. So no, that's the problem. Is if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Rafts of solar panels could power a tiny data center. Sure, go crazy. It just doesn't do anything useful for people in terms of solving the current problem, which is that we have like a ridiculous amount of data center capacity being built, and people won't stop.
What's amazing is that the amount of power that China has put on the grid in China, and most of it renewable, in the last year is close to more than has ever been put on the grid in the United States.
It is more now.
Yeah. So they have to be looking at us just thinking like, that's your night. Like, you should, it's like, imagine being at the poker table and you've got pocket aces and the guy across from you, has been, betting on off-suited 2-4 all night. As again, like, I'm all in. Yeah. They got to be sitting across the table going, it's final answer. That your final answer?
Final answer.
I got to bluff my way through this. No, but that's a really good point. I mean, that's exactly the problem, right? Is that you're faced with, you're competing against people who are doing this regardless of whether you think there's too much capacity, who's doing this at such a ridiculous scale that this sort of stuff, like I'm harnessing up fireflies to do what exactly?
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't work, right?
We've all interacted with and met these guys, the Musks and the Bezoses and the of the world, and why do you think they they are so obsessed with space, and why? If I were a multi-billionaire, and I'm almost there, I'm very, very shy of it.
A couple of more zeros.
Couple of zeros. I'm good.
If Dogecoin goes to $1 million,
did I ever tell you my Dogecoin story?
No, you never did.
Can I tell you my Dogecoin story? This is a little
please.
segue here.
I can't wait.
It's not a segue so much as a distraction.
It's a distraction. This is a great story. I was when I was a reporter at the New York Times. I was on Twitter all the time, tweeting my stories and whatnot. And there was a lot more conversation back then, less yelling. And I didn't notice it, but someone had, when Doge had come out, someone had replied me and said, "Here's 2 million or whatever it was, 4 million Dogecoin, and I'm giving them to certain people." And I never saw it. So years later, when Doge was like at its peak, I was about to go out for dinner with Krista, with my wife, and
you were kidnapped, and the guy's like, "Give me all your Dogecoin."
I saw that.
I know you have 4 million of them.
Yeah, in the Daily Mail, I saw that story.
So I was just sitting downstairs waiting for her to get ready, and I went on Twitter, and I saw all these people replying me, and they were like, "Did you ever get this money?" And I was like, "What are they talking about?" And it turned out this person had given the millions to a bunch of different people, like Jimmy Fallon, some tech reporters, and things like that. And the service that he had used to do it was now defunct. It was like a Bitly thing that no longer, where that was how you got it. But at the time, it was worth several $1 million when I realized it, and I never got my Dogecoin, my millions.
Because the service went away?
Because the middle service went away.
Okay.
And that was my sad Dogecoin story.
Right. And the relationship to space is what?
Nothing. You just brought up Dogecoin.
I see. All right.
I would anyway.
Nick's more of a word association guy.
But hold on. Let's just say,
it's like having Wordle.
Had I have taken that Dogecoin, right? This is years ago now, and then maybe put it into Bitcoin, I could maybe be building space stuff. My point is,
you wouldn't.
No, I would. If I was going to build anything for space, I'd want to like build a hotel on Mars. I wouldn't want to build a data center up there. Like, why build the data? Why are they so obsessed with it?
Back to your original question.
Yes, why are they so obsessed?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is what's the William Shatner line from Star Trek back in the day? The space, the final frontier. Is these guys view it as like, this is going to be, I'm going to be the Amerigo Vespucci of up there.
So it's a conquering.
But I think it's also that people look at things like Starlink or whatever, and they say, you know what, this is an annuity revenue stream. There's demand for this extra capacity. I can charge premium prices for a long time because it's like a pressure relief valve for you can't build data centers in the U.S. or whatever else. And so they make that. Those aren't all bad conclusions to come to. They just don't work in the context of what you're trying to build. Like I get all of that, and to that point, that's one of the reasons why. Like this, recently there have been all of these stories about all of these private credit providers like Blue Owl and Apollo and all these other guys who are getting beaten up for their holdings in data centers. And one of the reasons why they hold data centers, along with software as a service and all kinds of other stuff, is because from their standpoint, this is just premium real estate that happens to have good tenants whose names are Google, Microsoft, and whoever else. But they have good credit and they continue to pay. So why wouldn't I do whatever the heck I can to get them a 10-year contract? The exact same logic applies in space-based data centers. If someone's willing to give me a 15-year contract to use my Fireflies to send them tiny amounts of data back and forth, who am I to say no? I'll say yes.
I like to think it's a much more existential, like fear of death. I am gonna be the one who first went and did XYZ in space, and my name will be forever be associated with it, even though everyone will forget who I was 70 years from now.
And I won't know either way because
I
dead.
won't know either way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that 1,000%. It's all the legacy stuff. It's all the Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
What you think space in general is?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's. I want to be first. I want to be remembered, and I want people to talk about me long after I'm gone. And I have no idea why, because
you're gone.
You're gone.
Yeah.
You think you get to see it from space or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that explains some of the space stuff, but I do think some of the low orbit data center stuff was informed by what happened with Musk's Starlink, right?
Yeah, Starlink.
By the Starlink stuff, which was like, it worked. There's like a business model here for doing this stuff. So why can't I do this in the context of doing something like a data center? And so and this is classic logic, is I'll just take that. It worked in that domain, and I'll move it to this domain and do the exact same thing. It's just that the things that work for Starlink think, are really run up against all of the same things don't work in the context of data centers. So you get stuck, right? But so the broader point that I think is interesting here is that this always happens at this kind of moment in tech. I'll call it bubbles, but in tech moments where you start to get these wild ideas start showing up towards the end, where people say, everything has worked up until now. We've made money from chips, from data centers, and from this and from that and the other thing. Who's to say this won't work? This could never have gotten funded early in this period, but it can get funded at the end. Exactly the same thing happened in fiber. The same thing happened in .com. The same thing happened, I'm sure, with railroads. I don't have a good example, but I'm sure it happened with railroads too, where it's like, what's a bullshit idea that I tried to get funded at the beginning of this? I'll do
railroads in space.
I'll do that now. We'll run with it now. But that's what happens. It's just this human psychology is all of a sudden it feels like any kooky idea I have can now get funded, so I should do it.
But there's an argument being made by a lot of people, and I'm curious to hear both of your thoughts on this, that this is not a bubble. This one's different. Like that this is the new internet in some respects. Yes, there are bubbly parts of the beginning of the internet, but this is here to stay. It's AI, right?
Well, but there's two different stories there, right? Yeah. I mean, that AI.
Both of those things can be true.
Both of those things can be true,
and both of them are true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the ridiculous thing that people try to trap you with is this gotcha game of, well, it's not a bubble because are you saying that AI isn't a great? No, it doesn't have nothing to do with anything, right? You can have it's like saying like the railroads build out was a bubble. So are you saying that rail was a bad idea? It's like no, that's not what you saying. Or canals? Did you hate canals? What were you feeling about canals back in the 18th century? No, I was good with canals back then. Same thing, right? And so the idea, the overbuild in the bubble part is about all this ridiculous overcapacity at things like data centers that are causing things like space-based data centers to seem like a good idea.
I mean, it's actually, there was a Saturday Night Live sketch about this long time ago, Johnny Canal, where John Malkovich just has the idea to build a canal between every city in the U.S. and every other city in the U.S.
That's a great idea.
Well, how are you going to solve this problem? We'll build another canal. That's when you have one company applying to launch 88,000 satellites in a world with 30-some thousand satellites for now, and there are going to be a bunch more companies. I mean, we'll just build another canal.
Yeah. No, this is it. Let's just build another canal. So that's the thing, though, with the bubble stuff that I think people get really confused about. The idea that you can be that things like this.
Are you trying to tell me I'm confused?
Well,
yes.
I've said that before. This isn't new information, I don't think. But that's the thing that I think people get stuck on is like, oh, well, so you think, railroad, canals, fiber optics, these are all bad ideas. No. It's that in these periods.
It's within them.
We always build out too much stuff, right? There was a great line, Michael Kinsley, years ago, the Economist, somewhere, Washington Post, I think, years ago?
I think so.
So Kinsley had this great line that you never know when you've done enough until you've done too much. And it's true in politics, and it's true in lots of domains, and it's uniformly true in risk capital, like in venture. Like you always overbuild, and in these moments, you actually overbuild ridiculous amounts. And so this is that.
Now let's imagine, let's just say StarCloud applies for and launches half the satellites, 44,000 satellites. And now China, various companies in China launch 88,000 satellites. Now one of the satellites from the U.S. crashes, or forget it, one of the satellites from China crashes into one of the There is no space court.
No.
There's
it's
no.
No, it's
The Hague is busy with other stuff.
Yeah, there's war crimes, but not satellite crimes.
Yeah, Sat Crime Court doesn't. So think about, again, these are all assume it works, and you've got these almost insurmountable. Who's going to give me the
How do I resolve this? Who do I take this
Give
to?
me the insurance company I'm going to pitch this to that's going to go, sure,
well,
no problem.
It happened with, wasn't it that Musk took up one of Zuckerberg's satellites and it blew up, the spaceship blew up, and Zuck was like, dude, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know.
Like, right,
take me to space court.
Yeah, take me to space court. Years ago, that's why they hate.
I have an idea for a new TV sitcom. Space Court.
Space Court. Satellites only.
Well, the other problem is that I just don't understand why this is not part of the conversation. It's one thing from a national security standpoint. If you have a data center in the United States, the only way to destroy that data center is to either to blow it up or to hack into it. You don't get to control necessarily what happens to the data centers in space. They're much more vulnerable.
Oh, okay. It's like James Bondy stuff.
Well, no, but if we become so reliant on AI to the point which we already are on our way to, and those data centers are up there. What's to stop North Korea from launching one of their satellites?
Oops, I poked a hole in your satellite and have it come back crashing back down. My bad.
Because they can't do that here because we've got all sorts of infrastructure to stop that, and the data.
No, they're obviously much more insecure, but that's part of the reason why they want to launch huge numbers, right? It's not just for geographic coverage; it's for redundancy, and so this is this idea of that it's actually much riskier to have gigawatt data centers because they're really nice targets, and it's much less risky to have thousands and thousands of low power data centers that, in the sense of having redundant supply, that's actually the less risky solution, contrary to like Northern Virginia, which is like the epicenter of global data centers. Well, that's handy, right? Because all they have to do is cause some problem with the grid or anything else that affects those guys, and suddenly you've got everything's down. But that's not the case if I've got thousands and thousands of low power data centers in space. So actually, that aspect of this I actually like. I think that makes having redundancy is much better than having a few hundred. I think in the U.S. now there's 4,000 or 5,000 data centers, and maybe 1,000 of them that are over a gigawatt. So,
do you just read about data centers all the time? Is this like a thing that you do?
What I do. Yeah, stamp collecting and reading about data centers. Those are my two things.
Dick, do you want to give us a concluding thought on any of this?
I have many concluding thoughts.
All right,
Would you like me to
great.
continue? No, I won't. I'm just kidding.
One sort of contrarian take is by the time these things work, AI will have probably gotten so much more efficient that we won't need the compute. Now, people will say, like, that's great. How can you say that? People are spending all this money on compute. Yeah. I'm saying by the time we actually get these things working, it may very well be the case that we don't need them.
Or that being able to run with fireflies is enough. Yeah, right. Because we're running.
Yes, sure.
Either which way, you get to the same place, right? And it's an argument. It just doesn't seem likely, but it's possible because that's what's happening right now, right? Is that all of this OpenAI was the weirdest story. OpenAI recently leaked, like really, really diligently leaked information about their current revenues, their current inference margins.
They intentionally leaked it?
It showed up in like 6 places on the same day. It was like they had a PR agency out doing the work. It was the strangest thing. But so in the context of that, though, the thing that I think was the most interesting was that inference margins were like 44% a year ago, and you would hope they'd stay high, but they're not. They're declining fairly fast because of price competition and everything else. But there's this huge pressure to find ways to bring down inference costs, and if insofar as this is one of them, then whatever. I guess this is what's driving things, though, is that no one cares about training anymore. They want to figure out ways to bring down inference costs, and that's not by using more NVIDIA chips. It's going to be through more caching and more low power ASICs and all that kind of good techie stuff. Is that too much? Is that too much information?
A little TMI.
Sometimes when I'm at home, I just talk to myself about this stuff.
Do you do a podcast with yourself and it's just you and the headphones and the microphone?
Yeah, and the other one I do obviously is about cars.
All right, we got to figure out how to wrap this one up. How do we wrap this up?
I just think the way is that this happens every time. You always have these moments where it's like where the crazy ideas are now fundable and come along, and that tells you where you are in the cycle because this couldn't have been funded 4 years ago. Couldn't have been funded 4 years ago, right? Yeah. And so that tells you, people always ask, like, well, when is all of this going to end? Well, it's going to end whenever the craziest possible ideas get funded.
Is this the craziest possible idea?
This is the pets.com AI.
Yeah. This is literally that.
This is the pets. So we're hitting the end, and the bubble's about to pop.
Well, whatever.
No, it doesn't mean it's about to pop. It might be a lot longer. Don't forget, the best money, you can make the most money right at the end before the bubble pops.
Just as it goes parabolic, right? And then, of course, it eats you. But yeah.
But that's what
this is. That's because that's human psychology, right? Whenever you're willing to fund the craziest possible ideas, it tells you that you now think the future looks so certain, and you've got so much FOMO from not having done it before that you're like, dude, I totally have to do this.
Yeah,
because other crazier shit didn't work before, and this could work.
When you look at the fact that this is one company, right, that is talking about this.
There's a bunch out there now,
but that's what my point is, that there are going to be. NVIDIA's involved and X and Anthropic. I mean, the lists are endless, and there's God knows how many in China. Is there a finite number that we hit? Is it like
of what companies?
Of companies,
data centers
in space?
No. The good news is this is how we're going to solve global warming, because the sun will start reflecting off of the satellites that are now blanketing the Earth.
Yeah.
And it'll just be like it's actually going to start getting a lot cooler.
If we surround the Earth with solar panels, it'll be like a reflective layer.
Yeah.
Like we put a Kevlar barrier up there. It'll be great. Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. But it's normal. It's what happens all the time at this moment.
But yeah, at the same time, all these you and I have talked about this. I think we've all talked about this, about how all these services kind of indistinguishable from each other at this point. Like they've become commodities.
But the bet though is, and this is sort of under the hood stuff, is that the bet is that each of these guys are making is that this will turn into an oligopoly. There'll be 3 companies at most, 4, and they'll be one of them. So if I don't invest like mad right now, I just lost the call option to be one of those companies. And so they invest madly, hoping that someone else falls away along the way. And then when the consolidation comes and we can stop having like token price deflation and all these things, I print money. That's the bet they're making. And that's why you'll hear people say, it's already profitable on a unit economic basis. You just, as long as you don't include the price of training new models and doing all these other things, yeah, sure, but that's like, earnings before costs. It doesn't really mean anything. These are your costs. So they're all betting that it's going to consolidate down to 2 or 3, and then they'll just start printing money like a runaway utility company.
Yeah, there's EBITDA, and this is EBITDA.
You've been on earnings calls before.
Yeah.
Have you done that on an earnings call?
No.
Yeah. Investors don't always respond.
You really missed your boat on that one. That was a good
I
one.
didn't miss the boat on that one.
So that's my take. That's where we're at. So we're at that, as Dick said, we're at that Pets moment.
We only made it 37 minutes. Is there anything we can talk about for another 5? Or
I can go for as long as needed.
is there a segue here or something into AI and something that's going on? Moltbot or...
Moltbot's stupid. Yeah, the Anthropic enterprise stuff today was really interesting. What Anthropic is doing is really interesting because it's so unusual to see...
hold on, wait. What's our segue into that?
Why do you need one?
Because they're listeners.
This is postmodern. Fuck segues.
This is postmodern.
Come on, dude. We could do this upside down.
All right, let me.
The bet that all these guys are making is that token use is going to explode. So we need all these data centers. And so then the natural question is, okay, fine. How's token use going to explode? Because literally we've saturated the market of coders. I saw a recent paper where they were talking about how they wanted to do, a placebo-controlled test of productivity among software developers using Claude Code. And the problem they had was twofold. One, they couldn't find any of those, which is hilarious. Like, you literally can't find developers who aren't using this stuff. And the second problem they had was when they found them, they said, well, we have a budget to pay you to not use it. And they said, how much? And it was whatever the amount was, it was decent. They said, yeah, that's not enough. So they couldn't, not only was the market saturated, they couldn't pay people to stop using it because they were like, dude, I don't know how to do this stuff anymore without it.
It's so crazy how quickly that happened.
Right. But so one, that's saturation right there, right? Because you can't find anyone. That doesn't mean the market's going to get much bigger. It means you've just already saturated. So then the bet with respect to all these data centers is that, and I always say it's that they're hoping it'll escape containment, like in the Andromeda strain or something, and it'll get outside of coding. It'll get into finance. It'll get into all these other places. And so the bet, and you saw this recently with some Anthropic news, because they're pushing hard on the enterprise stuff. And so you've got Anthropic plugins for PowerPoint. You've got Anthropic for finance, for equity research, for asset management, all this stuff. These are all, the way to think about all this stuff is these phishing attempts to try and get outside of coding and find somewhere else that uses enough tokens to justify putting data centers in space, right? That's how it all kind of fits together, because it's not going to be from writing some code.
And that's why all the stocks fell from the other companies when Anthropic launched.
Right, because these guys are like lurching around from vertical to vertical, and every time they say, hey, your vertical looks interesting, I may eat your lunch.
Yeah, it's like the New Jersey Mafia, like a nice legal practice you got over there.
Yeah. Be a shame.
Be a shame if I lunch the plug-in tomorrow.
It's exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened to IBM. Really IBM stock went down 13%. IBM stock went down 13% because Anthropic was like, you got COBOL? I can read COBOL.
I just like
How about I go to your customers and show them how to read COBOL?
The 12% decline in IBM is more than the historical cumulative revenue of anything to do with COBOL, which is the best part, right? It's like, I'm just going to wipe that out right now. It's worth more than anything.
By the way, did you like my Tony Soprano impersonation?
That was very good, actually.
Thank you.
I literally was thinking, I was imagining you on a stage in Chicago.
Thank you. Well,
Second
very
City.
good. Yeah.
That was really good. have you done that one before, or is this?
It was really, really a horrible impression of anything. So no, I haven't done that one before.
With subtitles, I knew what it was. If people watch this,
We should have him do some improv bits in the middle of.
Assuming this is all improv, honestly.
All right, you're on a data center in space.
No,
You're carrying a bottle of water.
I need a suggestion of a location. Data center in space.
But that's why all this stuff kind of fits together, though, right? It's because if you're trying to build out and get away from the coding trap, and you want to justify building all these data centers, that's why you see, Anthropic launching a furious number of enterprise applications. Just the trouble is coding is so friggin' weird. Nothing else is like coding. There's no other domain where every time I make a change, I have to re-ingest the whole code base. It's not true with legal documents. It's not true with marketing stuff.
It's true with writing, I would say. It's true with novels and books. And
turns out there's no economic model for writing, though.
I don't know. I'm joking.
I'm just saying, like Hollywood's. We've already done that episode.
He was making fun of your career.
Yeah, believe me, my career is coming to an end shortly.
Right. So this is all this quest to find this stuff, and it turns out there just aren't a lot of other domains where not only.
So what happens next? And that's the case.
That's where the pets.com moment kicks in, where the people are like, oh crap, we've vastly overbuilt for markets that don't exist. And then you end up playing a lot of laser tag in the data centers.
Until the job losses kick in, and then
right.
And then they actually do replace.
Well, then there's still more people who want to play laser tag in data centers. More time on their hands.
All right. Well, on that note, I think that concludes another episode of the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show. We will not be doing any new data center stories in the near future because I think we've covered it all.
There's so much more.
There's so much more. Tune into the Paul Show.
Right, just talk data centers all the time.
It's like my kids. They watch like Mr. Beast on YouTube, and they do the Mr. Beast live, and it's literally just all the videos on repeat, and they don't realize it. I'm like, you guys have already seen this one. They're like, no, I've never seen this before. Oh. This is the Paul streaming data center talk.
I was doing it in the car earlier.
Well, that concludes another episode of the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show.